You wake up one morning feeling like something has shifted. The scenery around you may look different. A new relationship, a new job, a new environment, yet deep down there's a haunting familiarity. The same emotional undertone returns, a situation that feels eerily similar to something you thought you'd already overcome. Maybe it's another person who doesn't see your worth, another cycle of financial struggle, or another moment where you feel unseen, unchosen, unheard. And you wonder, why does this keep happening to me? It feels like life is playing a loop, sending the same lesson in new disguises, as if the universe is trying to communicate in a language you haven't yet decoded. You move from one chapter to another only to find the same emotional sentence repeating itself, just written in different ink. You might tell yourself that you've grown, that you've healed, that you've learned your lesson. But then, in some quiet moment, the universe gently presses the same button again, and the same feeling resurfaces. Not to punish you, but to reveal something still hidden. There's a profound intelligence behind these repetitions, a sacred rhythm to the patterns that return to us. Life isn't cruel, it's consistent. It mirrors back to us the unhealed, the unacknowledged, the misunderstood parts of ourselves, until we finally see them with awareness instead of resistance. The lesson repeats not because you're failing, but because your consciousness is ready to see it in a deeper way. Every repetition is life's way of saying, you missed the truth last time. Let's look again, but from another angle. Imagine your life as a classroom and each experience as a teacher. Some lessons are gentle like whispers. Others are loud like storms. But they all come bearing the same intent, to guide you toward alignment with your higher self. If you ignore the whisper, the universe sends the echo. And if you ignore the echo, it sends the storm. Not as punishment, but as guidance. The universe has infinite patience, repeating the same curriculum until the soul fully understands its own reflection. We often think we've moved on because the external story has changed. We change partners, cities, or careers, believing we've escaped the old version of ourselves. But the truth is, you don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. Reality responds to your vibration, not your intentions. So when the same kind of pain returns in a new form, it's not a step backward. It's the same energetic pattern seeking completion. The lesson keeps showing up, not because you're cursed, but because you're ready to evolve beyond it. Think of it like waves on the ocean. Each one seems new, but they all rise from the same unseen tide beneath. The circumstances are the surface, the emotion is the current. Every repeated pattern carries a message. There's something within you asking to be seen. Whether it's self-worth, boundaries, forgiveness, or fear, the outer world reflects the inner vibration until that vibration changes. You can't shift the mirror by wiping the reflection. You must change the face that's being mirrored. And yet, this realization is not meant to make you feel guilty. It's meant to awaken you to your power. When you start seeing life's repetitions not as setbacks but as sacred signs, everything transforms. You begin to witness your experiences from a higher vantage point, realizing that each repeated moment is a mirror, one that reflects your growth, your resistance, your awareness. The universe doesn't move in straight lines, it moves in spirals. You are not going in circles. You are revisiting old lessons from a higher level of consciousness. This awareness is the threshold between unconscious living and conscious creation. The moment you stop asking, why is this happening to me, and start asking, what is this showing me? Your entire energetic reality begins to shift. The same events no longer control you, they reveal you. You begin to see that life isn't repeating lessons, you are repeating frequencies. The pattern ends not when the external situation changes, but when the vibration within you transforms. So in this journey we're about to take, we'll go beyond the surface of repetition. We'll uncover the hidden mechanics of why reality echoes certain themes, why people seem to play similar roles, and why your emotions hold the key to transcendence. You'll learn to recognize the mirror of consciousness, to feel through the emotion instead of escaping it, and to align with a version of yourself that no longer attracts the old story. By the end of this exploration, you'll understand that life has never been testing you, it has been training you. Every repeated experience was a rehearsal for awakening. The universe is not asking you to react, it's inviting you to remember. To remember who you are beneath the pattern. To remember that when the lesson is integrated, the mirror no longer needs to reflect it. When you finally embody the wisdom, the story changes, not because life decided to shift but because you did. Life, at its most profound level, is not a sequence of random events, it is a mirror reflecting the state of your consciousness. Everything you experience, from the smallest annoyance to the deepest heartbreak, is a projection of the energy you hold within. The people you meet, the opportunities that appear or disappear, even the emotions that keep resurfacing, They all act as mirrors showing you what's active in your vibration. This understanding is at the heart of every spiritual and metaphysical tradition. Reality doesn't happen to you, it happens through you. Imagine standing in front of a mirror and trying to change your reflection by adjusting the image instead of yourself. You can reach out, wipe the glass, shout at it, or even walk away, but the reflection will always return to match your current expression. The mirror has no bias, it only reflects. In the same way the universe doesn't judge or punish, it reflects your inner state with perfect accuracy. Every repeated lesson, every recurring person or situation, is life's way of showing you the energetic portrait you are currently broadcasting. At the level of vibration, your thoughts and emotions generate frequencies. These frequencies form patterns, like radio signals, that attract experiences vibrating at a similar rate. This is not poetic symbolism, it's energetic law. The universe is vibrational by nature, and your consciousness is the transmitter. Whatever frequency you hold most consistently, whether it's self-worth, fear, love, or shame, becomes the station you tune into. You can change the program, but only by changing the signal. Now think of your subconscious mind as the hidden architect of this mirror. 95% of your thoughts, reactions, and beliefs stem from subconscious programs written long before you became aware of them. These programs create energetic blueprints that the universe simply mirrors back as external events. That's why, when you shift jobs but still feel undervalued or meet new people who treat you the same way, the pattern persists. Not because you're attracting the same kind of person, but because your subconscious still expects that story to play out. The mirror of consciousness is patient. It keeps repeating the same reflections until the observer, you, changes how you see yourself. This is why spiritual growth often feels cyclical rather than linear. You revisit old feelings and situations, but each time you do, you're offered the chance to see them with a little more awareness, a little more compassion, a little more power. The universe isn't trying to drag you backward, it's guiding you inward. The more you recognize that outer reality is a feedback loop, the more empowered you become to shift it consciously. This is also where science and spirituality meet. Quantum physics tells us that the act of observation changes what is observed, known as the observer effect. On a metaphysical level, this means that when you become conscious of your emotional reactions and beliefs, you alter the frequency that's generating your experiences. Awareness collapses the old pattern. The moment you see the lesson clearly, it begins to lose its power to repeat. The mirror doesn't need to show you what you've already integrated. Consider a simple example. You keep finding yourself in friendships where you feel used or unseen. At first, it looks like a coincidence or bad luck. But when you pause and observe, you might realize the universe is mirroring your own inner dynamic. Perhaps you give more than you receive because deep down you equate love with proving your value. The people who take advantage of you aren't teaching you cruelty, they're reflecting your subconscious pattern of self-sacrifice. Once you recognize that, you stop needing the external teacher. The reflection shifts because the internal vibration has changed. The same principle applies to abundance, purpose, love, or health. Life will continue to present you with situations that resonate with your energetic imprint. If you hold scarcity, you'll keep encountering lack. If you hold unworthiness, you'll attract dismissal. But when you embody gratitude, worthiness, and openness, the mirror softens. It begins to show you experiences that align with your expanded state. The law of reflection is universal and impartial. It doesn't give you what you want, it gives you what you are being. This realization can be confronting because it removes blame from the outside world. But it's also deeply liberating because it returns power to where it truly belongs, within you. When you stop seeing repeated patterns as evidence of failure and start seeing them as evidence of reflection, you reclaim authorship of your life. Each reflection becomes a teacher. Each difficult emotion becomes a guidepost. The universe is not mocking your pain, it's illuminating the unhealed frequencies within you that are ready to rise into awareness. The mirror of consciousness is not limited to individual experience, it operates collectively as well. Humanity, as a shared field of consciousness, also repeats lessons on a global scale: wars, inequality, environmental crises. These are collective mirrors of unresolved energies within the species itself. Just as an individual must look inward to transform personal patterns, humanity must elevate its collective vibration to evolve beyond global repetitions. The same law applies universally. What remains unconscious will always reappear until it is made conscious. And so, the next time you find yourself saying, "Why does this always happen to me?" Pause. That question is not a sign of weakness, it's a doorway to awareness. The moment you ask it sincerely, the mirror begins to reveal what it's truly showing you. Life is not trying to trap you in cycles. It's reflecting your vibration back until you realize you have the power to change the signal. You are both the dreamer and the dream, the reflection and the source, the one who looks into the mirror and the mirror itself. When this understanding settles into your awareness, something shifts at a cellular level. You begin to see that the repeated lessons are not obstacles, they're invitations, portals to a higher frequency of consciousness. Each time you choose awareness over reaction, presence over blame, the mirror brightens. Reality begins to rearrange itself to match your new frequency. You no longer fear the reflections because you recognize their purpose. They were never meant to imprison you, only to awaken you to yourself. When you begin to understand that reality is a mirror of your consciousness, the next step is learning how to break free from the patterns that keep repeating. Awareness alone opens the door, but integration allows you to walk through it. You can't simply think your way out of energetic cycles. You have to feel, process, and embody the change at a vibrational level. This section is about that transformation, how awareness, emotion, and integration dissolve repetition and allow your energy to evolve into alignment. The first stage of breaking the pattern is recognition. You cannot shift what you do not see. Most people stay trapped in unconscious loops because they keep reacting instead of observing. When an old situation reappears, someone disrespects them, an opportunity slips away, anxiety returns, they respond automatically with frustration, anger, or self-blame. The ego screams, "Not this again." But that reaction is part of the loop. Every time you react from the same emotional frequency, you feed the same energetic imprint. Awareness interrupts that cycle. So instead of saying, "Why is this happening again?" try saying, "Interesting, this pattern is showing itself once more. What is it revealing about my energy?" That shift from resistance to curiosity changes everything. The moment you observe your emotional triggers without judgment, you begin to loosen their grip. You move from being inside the pattern to being aware of it. That awareness alone begins to dissolve the illusion of repetition because consciousness itself is the solvent of unconsciousness. The second stage is emotional integration. Every recurring pattern is held in place by an unprocessed emotion, something that wasn't fully felt or expressed in the past. It could be fear, grief, shame, guilt, or the ache of rejection. When those emotions are avoided, they become energetic imprints in your field, magnetizing similar experiences so you can finally feel and release them. This is why life keeps pressing on the same wound, not to hurt you but to help you heal what still aches. Instead of running from the pain, meet it. Sit with it, breathe through it, let it speak. Ask the emotion what it's trying to tell you. Beneath anger is usually sadness. Beneath sadness, fear. And beneath fear, a longing for love, for connection with your true self. When you allow an emotion to complete its cycle, it no longer needs to repeat itself through external events. The energetic charge dissolves and the frequency lifts. Emotional awareness is the alchemy that turns pain into wisdom. You might imagine this process as sitting beside your younger self, the version of you who was first wounded. That inner child still believes certain things: "I'm not enough, I'll always be abandoned, I don't deserve love." These beliefs live in your subconscious, creating matching reflections in your outer world. But when you, as your conscious self, sit with that younger part in love instead of shame, something miraculous happens. The old vibration finally feels seen. The wound becomes integrated into your wholeness. This is shadow work, not about fighting the dark but bringing it into light. Integration also involves shifting your identity. Every pattern is tied to a version of you that once needed to exist, the old self who developed certain defenses to survive. When you're ready to grow, that identity must evolve. Breaking a pattern is not just changing your behavior, it's changing who you believe yourself to be. The person who kept attracting abandonment or struggle was acting from an outdated identity rooted in fear. The new self emerges when you decide that you are no longer that person, not in theory but in energy. Here's where the quantum aspect of manifestation enters. In quantum physics, every possible version of reality already exists as a potential wave. You collapse one version into physical experience based on your frequency, the vibration of your state of being. When you stay emotionally tied to your old story, you keep collapsing the same version of reality over and over again. But when you shift your state, when you embody the feelings of peace, worthiness, love, and trust, you literally align with a new timeline where those old patterns no longer exist. Awareness is the key that opens the door, but embodiment is the step that takes you through it. You cannot think your way to transformation, you must become the new vibration. The mind can understand change, but the body must feel safe enough to hold it. This is why spiritual transformation is as much somatic as it is mental. Breathe into your body, feel where the old energy lives, in your chest, your stomach, your throat, and invite it to move. The more presence you bring to your sensations, the more the old energy unwinds. It's not about fixing yourself, it's about reuniting with yourself. When you fully feel what was once suppressed, when you bring love to what was once judged, you no longer need the external mirror to remind you. The universe reflects wholeness once wholeness is embodied. The lesson disappears because there is nothing left to teach. Let's explore a practical example. Suppose you've noticed a repeating lesson around money, cycles of gain and loss. No matter how much you earn, you end up feeling insecure or unsupported. Instead of focusing on strategies or luck, turn inward. Ask, what emotion do I associate with money? Maybe it's fear of loss or shame around worthiness. Feel it. Don't analyze it, just feel it fully. As you do, you reclaim the part of you that believed safety comes from control. When that energy softens, new opportunities begin to flow with less resistance, because your vibration now says, I trust abundance. Another example might be love. You keep attracting partners who make you feel unseen or rejected. Instead of blaming fate, ask what belief is still active within you. Perhaps a part of you still doubts that you're worthy of unconditional love. Instead of suppressing that doubt, embrace it. Speak gently to it. The moment you give compassion to the part of you that feels unworthy, you shift from seeking love outside to embodying love within. The next relationship will then mirror your self-acceptance, not your self-rejection. Breaking the pattern, then, is a process of awareness to emotion integration embodiment. It's not a mental checklist but a vibrational transformation. You begin by seeing the pattern, then feeling what holds it, then integrating what was once fragmented, and finally living from the frequency of your healed self. The universe responds instantly to that inner coherence. Remember, transformation is not about forcing change but allowing alignment. When you stop resisting what is and start aligning with what you truly are, the old reality gently dissolves. Patterns fade, timelines shift, and synchronicities replace struggles. You no longer chase lessons, you live their wisdom. And that's the point where awareness turns into liberation. The storm that once repeated now becomes a calm mirror reflecting peace. The people who once triggered you now inspire compassion. The same world looks entirely different because you're seeing it through new eyes, the eyes of an integrated, awakened being who no longer fears reflection. You've stepped out of the loop and into flow. When the old patterns begin to dissolve and the mirror no longer reflects the same pain, you enter the stage of quantum alignment, a state where life stops repeating and starts responding. This is the natural consequence of awareness turned into embodiment. You're no longer reacting from old wounds, you're consciously shaping your energy. This is the moment where healing turns into creation, where you stop learning through contrast and begin living through coherence. At this stage, reality begins to feel different. The heaviness that once surrounded your experiences starts to lift. You no longer walk through life anxiously waiting for the next lesson to arrive. Instead, you begin to sense a gentle flow, a rhythm that guides you rather than tests you. The same situations that once triggered you now pass by like waves that no longer touch the shore. You've shifted your vibration, and reality is simply adjusting to match your new frequency. The key to living beyond repetition lies in understanding that your outer world is not an isolated stage. It is a dynamic reflection of your inner coherence. When your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs are aligned, life mirrors that alignment back to you. When you act from confusion or fear, life reflects chaos. When you move with clarity and trust, it reflects harmony. You've experienced both sides of this equation, the disorder of disconnection and the serenity of alignment. Now your task is to sustain the latter. This is where identity becomes energy. To live in a new timeline, you must stabilize in a new version of yourself, the version that already embodies peace, abundance, and love. Quantum physics shows that infinite versions of reality exist simultaneously, and your vibration determines which version you experience. You don't need to force change. You simply need to become the person whose energy aligns with the reality you desire. If you wish for love, live as love. If you wish for abundance, feel abundant before the evidence appears. In this state, manifestation is no longer a technique. It becomes a natural expression of coherence. You stop chasing outcomes because you realize they are byproducts of vibration. Instead of asking, when will it happen? You begin to ask, what frequency am I holding? The outer world doesn't need convincing. It simply rearranges itself to match your energetic consistency. This is the essence of quantum shifting, not forcing the future but becoming so aligned in the present that the future has no choice but to reflect it. From here, awareness becomes maintenance. You become the guardian of your vibration. You start to recognize subtle fluctuations in your energy, tension in the body, a flicker of doubt, a drop in joy, and you correct them before they manifest externally. This is emotional hygiene, the daily practice of keeping your energetic field clear and coherent. You meditate, breathe, ground, and choose your thoughts deliberately. Not out of fear of slipping back, but from the joy of staying connected to your highest frequency. As your energy stabilizes, synchronicities begin to unfold everywhere. You think of someone and they message you. You imagine an opportunity and it appears. The universe starts responding instantly because you've become energetically available to receive. These experiences are not coincidences, they are confirmations that you've shifted timelines. You've entered the reality where alignment is the rule, not the exception. However, even in this elevated state, remnants of old vibrations may occasionally resurface. You might feel a faint echo of fear or self-doubt. When that happens, don't panic. These moments are not regressions, they're reminders. The universe is checking your stability, asking, will you react from the old frequency or respond from the new one? The moment you choose presence, the old energy fades. You pass the test not by fighting but by staying still within your new vibration. This phase also deepens your understanding of surrender. In the past, surrender might have felt like giving up control. Now you realize it's the highest form of trust. You no longer try to manipulate outcomes or rush the process. You know that alignment makes timing irrelevant. What is meant for you arrives effortlessly. You've shifted from the energy of chasing to the energy of allowing. Life begins to feel lighter because you no longer resist its rhythm. You've stopped swimming upstream and started floating with the current of your own frequency. Living beyond repetition also transforms your relationship with desire. You no longer desire from a place of lack but from expansion. You no longer say, I want this because I don't have it, but rather, I'm excited to experience this new expression of who I already am. Desire becomes creative, not compensatory. You don't need the manifestation to complete you. You are complete and therefore the manifestation flows to you naturally. You might notice your environment changing. People who once resonated with your old energy may drift away, while new, aligned connections appear almost magically. You stop forcing relationships that drain you because your energy no longer matches them. Your world restructures itself around your higher frequency. This is not loss, it's resonance. The new timeline only keeps what vibrates with your truth. And through all of this, gratitude becomes the bridge that stabilizes your energy. You no longer wait for good things to be grateful. You are grateful first and then the good things come. Gratitude keeps your vibration high because it aligns you with sufficiency, the knowing that life is always supporting you. It transforms waiting into receiving and turns uncertainty into trust. Over time, you begin to feel that everything, even what once felt random, is part of a coherent design. You live in continuous dialogue with the universe. Signs, numbers, songs, and moments of divine timing become a language of alignment. You realize you are not living in the universe. You are the universe expressing itself through human experience. The lessons have served their purpose. Now you're here to express mastery. This is what living beyond repetition truly means. It doesn't mean life becomes perfect or challenge-free. It means your relationship with contrast has transformed. You see every challenge as information, not punishment. You no longer spiral into fear when something shifts because you know energy is simply reorganizing itself. You move through uncertainty with grace, responding with presence instead of reaction. In this space, peace becomes your default vibration. You no longer search for meaning, you embody it. The old stories fade, replaced by a steady awareness that everything unfolds exactly as it should. You are no longer in survival mode, you are in creation mode. Life mirrors your alignment and what once felt repetitive now feels expansive. A continuous unfolding of new timelines, new possibilities, new reflections of your growth. You've entered a partnership with reality. It no longer teaches through pain, it evolves through flow. You no longer ask, when will things change? Because you are the change. The patterns that once haunted you have become the foundation of your wisdom. The loops that once trapped you have become the spirals that lift you. And the lessons that once broke you have turned into light, the proof that your consciousness has truly shifted. This is the quantum shift, not a destination but a state of being where life mirrors your coherence, not your chaos. Where reality no longer tests your wounds but amplifies your alignment. Where creation replaces repetition, and awareness becomes your new gravity. In this awareness you finally understand, life never needed to change for you to feel free. You only needed to remember that freedom was always within you. There comes a quiet moment when you realize the lesson no longer repeats. The same situations that once triggered pain now pass through you like gentle waves. You see clearly that life was never punishing you, it was guiding you back to awareness. Every repetition was an invitation to love the parts of yourself you once rejected. You begin to feel gratitude for what once hurt. The heartbreak, the loss, the disappointment, all of it was your soul's way of teaching compassion. You no longer chase answers because you understand the pattern was never outside you. It was a mirror waiting for recognition. Now peace feels natural. You forgive not to forget but to free yourself. You move through life with quiet confidence, knowing that every experience is sacred feedback from the universe. The lesson ends when you embody it, and from that stillness, life stops repeating and begins responding to who you have become.